Who's going fishing Sunday?
I am. Let's go.
Let's go.
I am.
I'm in.
What week? Can you put that cat down?
Yeah. The cat's in.
I was trying to be a Bond villain. I apologize.
Yeah.
It's warm by this fire, Buck.
We're not even in the fire. We need to jump in the current.
We got to cool off in the current.
I just want everyone to know, I mean, we say it all the time. You have 7 best friends when you tune into us every week.
And it's wild because we used to say that, but now it's so real.
And it was just a real existential morning, guys.
Got all existential.
Did you short drift them?
Well,
That's a yes.
That's what the Canadians say.
no bueno.
No bueno.
If there is a traditional Canadian saying, no bueno.
And we are back. You are listening to the Rutten River Pursuit podcast. This is Reality Outdoor Radio, where our mission is to get you in the outdoors by connecting you with the people, skills, and products you can trust.
You can trust them.
Every single one of them.
Oh, yeah. We are sitting in the current, boys. I'm Ryan. Who do I got with me tonight?
This is Dave.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Will.
Nice to see y'all, boys.
How you doing, guys?
Hey, you know what?
What's that?
Bucky, why don't you tell me a little bit about this month's sponsor?
I'll tell you about our sponsor. This month's sponsor is our good friend at Dust to Dawn Bow Fishing and Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service, Captain Mark Spagnola.
Ooh, good old Cat Mark.
The one and only. Both Dust to Dawn Bow Fishing and Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service are operated out of the eastern shore of Maryland, as well as the Chesapeake Bay area. In the summer months, you can bow fish for species the likes of stingrays, gar, and snakeheads. While in the winter, Maryland Waterfowl Guide Service can put you on sea ducks of all makes and models.
Little fighter pilots just flying in an inch off the water.
Yep.
Those little speedy little buggers.
You and Stevie love them. Spend a lot of ammo on them. You can learn and book these epic outdoor experiences at dusttadawnbowfishing.com or marylandwaterfowl.com.
Noise. Get you some.
And tell Captain Mark the Rutten River boys said hello.
Ooh. I
Thank
need
you,
to get
Captain
back
Mark.
down there and get some bow fishings done.
You have such a good time when you're down there.
So much fun. So much fun.
I do too.
Anyway, what have you boys been up to here recently? Oh, wait. Actually, you know what? Probably looking at you, Deke. Probably going to need to talk to you a little bit about what you've had going on. But before we do that, hey, Brian.
Yeah.
Earmuffs real quick. Will, don't let him talk about wet waiting. I don't want to hear it. I'm not ready for it.
Oh, gotcha.
I can't. I don't want to hear it.
The last thing we need.
Yeah.
You mean, the last time we went?
So, Deke, what have you been up to, bud?
Man, we've all had some busy weekends here.
Tons of busy weekends.
Oh, so busy.
And mine was slightly different than most.
How's that?
I was at Smoke in the Grove.
Smoking the Grove.
Yeah. So I'm
That
fortunate.
was brought to you by
I was at
Kenny's
Smoke in the
Market.
Grove.
It is. You were.
Yeah.
You were there. You stopped in. It was great. You had some. You had a good time with our buddy.
House of Hogs.
Yeah, man. Aren't they a great time?
Steve and those guys are amazing guys.
They're
just the stuff that they're putting on the grill, and it's not even things that they're getting ready to enter into competition. Like, this is just, hey guys, we're cooking all weekend. What's some cool extra stuff we can make?
Jalapeno poppers.
Corn on the cob.
What?
I didn't even get to the jalapeno poppers till they were cold,
And they were still
amazing.
delicious.
Yeah, they made these earmuffs. They made these
Don't do it.
onions.
Smoked.
They were
Onions?
bacon wrapped smoked onions
Oh
that they
my
hollowed out,
gosh.
and then they put this like au jus type juice in it and melted some cheese over top. So it was
What?
basically a French onion soup where the onion was also the bowl.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was good.
that is.
It was very
sounds ridiculous.
And then we're having beef ribs.
Wellington?
Beef ribs.
Giant ones.
I didn't know that beef ribs were so tasty.
They're pretty
Here,
good.
All this time, I thought burnt ends were my jam.
Yeah.
It turns out beef ribs also my jam.
Oh, you like the jam?
Ah, so good.
Was that? Did I see you rip a piece of meat off of the bone
Yeah.
in one of them little teaser things?
When we did the little video intro,
Yeah.
these guys pulled these ribs out of the smoker, and they were literally like fall apart. Like, you know, you see those videos sometimes where they'll just pull the bone out.
Right.
That's what they were doing, and shaking the rib meat into, you know, one of these pans, so
Yeah.
everybody could sit there and kind of pick at it while we were talking. And then they lay the bones aside in what I can only assume is like a discard junk pile.
The boneyard.
And I'm looking at it and I'm like, there's still some big hunks of meat hanging off these bones, and these guys are ready to just scrape it into a trash can.
You gonna eat that?
I said, not on my watch.
So that was beef.
Not on my watch.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was a beef
big
rib.
old beef rib.
Wow.
So good.
I tell you what, like I was there. I happened to be on the planning committee for all of Smoke in the Grove, and like we start planning after the event ends.
Sure.
So I was there Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday with cleanup and a cookout for the volunteers. And man, it was fun from Thursday through Sunday cleaning up.
That's awesome.
It was great. And like Steven and the guys, they brought their rig in on Thursday. And got to see them a little bit then, and all these campers are pulling in, and smokers are pulling in Thursday, and
50 some competitors. Is that
there
what I
was
heard?
50 pro teams, 20 backyard teams, and then 12 first responder teams.
Wow.
So a lot of
Close to 85 people smoking.
yeah. So I mean, there's just tents all over the place. This
I can't even imagine. Like, I feel bad I couldn't make it, but like the smell.
it was great.
It was
Really?
absolutely amazing.
Yeah. The Friday night, we're there. We're wrapping up what we're doing, and I like to go after we're done our little work. I like to go around and talk to all the competitors, and there's just this like light smoke hue coming up from the campsites. And this is normally a big parking lot, and we turn it into a straight campground. I mean, there's electric service, there's water service for all the competitors, and it's a legit campground going on. And like I said, there's just this hue of smoke just kind of in the air, and it's night and there's lights, and it's just a cool time, and everybody's just out having fun. There's serious business going on. People are prepping their meat for the smoker. They're firing stuff up. They're making stuff for fun. But there's some serious stuff going on. 'Cause there's money on the line. So I don't know how much prize money was given out. It was a lot. It was
probably around 16.
I think so. Friday night there was the steak and sausage competition, which was like a side bet for the whole weekend.
Oh, wow.
So pro teams, amateur backyard teams, and even the first responder teams could enter that. Those steaks were phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, just perfect. And we had the leftovers. It was like, as the organizers, we got to taste test some of those leftovers. And the sausage dish, you'd think that a sausage competition would just be sausage, pepper, and onions grilled, but no. They call it an auxiliary comp, and you just have to make a dish on your smoker that incorporates sausage.
Oh, was there
Yeah.
pierogies? Don't tell me there were pierogies. I'll flip the table.
There might have been.
Oh,
I mean, it was just anything you can imagine. Like I think one of them calls it like the big fatty, which is like a roll, like a sausage is just a meat roll wrapped in bacon and stuffed with other stuff. And it's just a heart attack waiting to
I'm
happen.
getting the sweats.
Yeah. And then, so that rolls into Saturday. And I mean, first thing in the morning, first light, everybody's up and moving, and, things are going on. There's certain timetables because you have a 12, 12:30, 1, 1:30 check-in for your each category you're getting tested in, and it's just it's a lot of fun and a lot of camaraderie, like I was saying, and Steven touched on it. They're not competing against each other; they're competing against the judges and against that score table.
Yeah.
And there's great music going on. Velveeta played. I forget how many hours. It was like 4 or 5 hours they played for on Saturday. And that's if you ever see Velveeta playing around where you are, go check them out. But
No, they're solid. They play everything. They've been doing it forever.
Yeah. Since you were in college.
They're not nearly
Since
as
I was-
cheesy as
yeah.
they sound.
No, not at all.
It's not just a clever name.
DK, do you know how many guests actually went through the gates there?
I do not know, but it was thousands
16,
of people. Yeah, definitely. Thousands of people came through. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff for all. I mean, there's food trucks that you could buy food at. There was the pulled pork competition. That was a people's choice voting. So I think there was 72 entries in that.
Wow.
72 different pork butts were made, and
we missed the first responders chicken wing one.
Yeah,
missed that.
The wings were on Friday night.
We got there and they were out.
I mean, just like you said, meat sweats were happening.
Yeah, I imagine.
But it was a long weekend, but it was a lot of fun. Since we were sponsored with them and we teamed up with them to promote the event, we're thankful that everybody that came, all the all the competitors, all the other sponsors that came out to support it. It was a great event.
And volunteers like you, bud. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I was going to say, it takes a lot of people to put an event on like that.
We had about 100 volunteers.
Okay.
So
I would have guessed 16.
No, a little bit more than that.
Okay.
So
somewhere around 16, give or takes.
Yeah, but it was a great event. And even though I was having a ton of fun, and like Ryan and Brad and Jim and Phil came down Friday night, and we got to hang out and talk to House of Hog. You guys had an epic weekend too, and I was a little bit jealous.
I was wondering if we were going to get to that.
It was okay.
You're definitely going to get to it.
Just kidding.
What'd we do?
What'd you do? We did have an epic weekend. The R2 knife making class kicked off this weekend. First and inaugural, whatever. If we get to do it again, it'd be awesome. But
yes,
I think it was highly successful. We just knocked it out of the park on a lot of different levels.
It was a huge success. I have no reason to hesitate saying that. I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah,
everybody there had a great time. I only had one problem with the whole thing.
What was that?
All those people that took the class are a lot better at making knives than me.
They're all better than us.
It was amazing what these guys were making.
It happens, bud.
Yeah,
it happens.
And what? How do you know?
There's somebody better than you somewhere in anything.
Here's the thing,
and they just four of them happen to show up on a Saturday.
I'm going to give us the kudos that they were better than us. And it's because they listened to the podcast where we talked about our experience, and they learned from it.
That was it.
So they didn't come in as green as we were.
Yeah.
They already had some background.
Yeah.
They knew what to expect. They knew what to do, and we helped them make better knives.
It's like I never saw a knife before, though. I mean, I don't even. Jay's like, stop doing that.
Just walk away.
Put that down.
Yeah.
Put that down.
Step away from the forge.
How are you going to put an edge on that? But anyway.
What did we have? Five guests?
We did.
We end up with
guests,
5.
Yeah,
yes.
that came through there at Underhill Forge. It was a great time. Those people put in some hard 2 days of work to make those beautiful pieces of art.
Brian, you're not kidding. It's so much work, and I remember I'm still a little bit sore from when we did all of this. It's a good bit of effort, and we would be remiss if we didn't just come right out and say it. So Kyle, Jed, Cian, Brandon, and Miss Leanna knocked it out of the park that weekend.
Yeah.
So much so that we need to talk with one of these folks. And unfortunately for most of them, I only had one number. Miss Leanna, are you there?
I am here, Ryan.
How are you?
Hey, Leanna.
Ryan, it hurts so good, that soreness.
I'm telling you, of everyone involved, and I'm throwing us into the mix now too, because we had our own knife making weekend.
Involved,
right?
Yeah.
We've done this, but you had like a whole extra set of soreness, I would think, from that first knife that you made, and we can get into some of the coolness that became Miss Leanna's knives.
That's right.
But you went at that knife with a file.
I sure did.
The grinding that we did when we removed material from that blank.
Yeah.
And we made our first knife.
Stock removal.
That stock removal stages. You were doing that with the file. We were using
by hand
equipment, right?
That's
we're
right.
Using grinders. We're using
big
belt sanders
3M
with
belts
like
and things.
4 grit sandpaper on it. Like it just rips and tears. You're going at it with a file. I was so impressed.
Thank you so much. Well, can I just tell you, I can't say enough about Underhill Forge. The only reason I was able to do what I did is because Jay, as the owner and operator and lead blacksmith, was just open. He was open to my vision. I had these knives rattling around in my head for about 3 or 4 months. When I signed up for the class, Will said, start thinking, start drawing, start researching. And I absolutely fell in love with these concepts. And I really worked with Jay ahead of time to say, is this even feasible? Like, I want to make sure I'm not derailing the class, but I want to be a part of it. Do you need me to come on a different weekend? And he was just so open. And Nate and Jeremy, his 2 assistants, just never left my side. They bought into my vision. And you know what? Even my fellow knife class members, Kyle was so great with cheering. Jeb, Kian was just fascinated. You're going to cook with these, and of course,
Yeah.
Brandon. I think Brandon got like a little jealous at one point. He's like, maybe I want to make that knife too. So,
Well, I
but
think
you're right.
everybody did at one point.
Yeah.
That first
Yeah.
play was so cool.
The first night that I made, the one that I was hand filing, that was an Usubu.
Bless you.
Usubu. That's
Oh.
right. And it's a Japanese. All 3 knives that I forged were a Japanese style, and that's what I've just really fallen in love with the past year. And it's a square blade or a long rectangle blade that's used in a lot of processing of vegetables in Japanese cooking. And the Japanese are very smart. They're incredibly ergonomic, and everything's very efficient. So the blade bevel is only on one side, and it's the side that you are handed,
Man.
your dominant side.
That's cool.
So I only needed a bevel on the right hand side, because when you're chopping, then the force and the physics of the blade push the food away from the knife so you can continue to chop. And then, because they're Japanese and they're so efficient, you can pick that knife up, turn it on its right side so the left side is up, the flat, the safe side, scoop up all those vegetables and drop them into the pot or the pan.
It's like a spatula.
That's clever.
That's why
That's
it's
exactly
flat
right. Yeah. And Jay said, hey, listen, if you want to do this right, you're going to have to hand file it. And he was a great teacher. He showed me a couple of times. He watched me while I did it. Nate was close by. You know, they gave me a couple of coaching tips, and then they just let me go for about an hour and a half.
Filing.
And I just filed this steel. I wear a wearable watch. My Apple Watch clocked in a ton of exercise. I was sweating, and there wasn't even a forge going at the time. But and now I look at that knife and I go, wow, that bevel is because of me. I saw that bevel in my head. They helped me draw it. They helped me file it. There wasn't one single student that didn't stop by and say, how are you doing? Do you need help? Do you need a break? Are you okay? Do you need anything? I mean, I think everyone knew how hard I was working when they were just at machines that were mechanically grinding it down. But I mean, I was determined, and I'm so proud of that knife.
That's awesome.
That's a great one.
That's so cool.
Leanna, what was your second knife you made?
The second knife that I made was called a Debo Boko. And again, it's a Japanese style. I have a thing right now with Japanese engineering, and that was the CNC machine knife. So this one was a little bit more difficult. A lot of our listeners and fans would know it. The closest thing they can associate it to is a santoku knife. So if you think about the top or the spine of the knife, it has that gentle curve that kind of comes down to an exaggerated point, and then a completely flat belly or blade with a very sharp high up angle for the handle. One of the things that Jay was educating us on, which I thought was so fascinating about Japanese knives, is it's really about the steel and the cutlery. The handles in the Japanese tradition are considered an accessory or disposable.
Yeah, they're disposable. I remember you were telling me that the day of. As you were making these things, you were saying that.
Exactly. Where we in the Western culture, we love our knives to have a full tang, really fill up that handle, strong tensile force. The Japanese feed their blades into the handle by friction. It's friction fed. And that way, the handle itself is never really used because the Japanese, again, back to the efficiency, they grip the blade. They really choke up high in the blade to get a very good knife control. The handle is just considered a counterbalance. So when we were making the Debo, we really had to think about, because it was on the CNC machine, we knew we could get the blade right. What we were really struggling with was the length of handle and to calculate the mathematics of the handle so that it could friction feed without splitting that wood. When I drew the Devo, he took it in, scanned it into the CNC machine, and that's when his sort of computer sciencey mind just took over. And he started clicking, and I'm not exaggerating, in about 4 clicks. 4. That man replicated my knife in a digital software system. He's like, "This gonna do it?" I'm like, "Yeah." This will do it.
There it was.
So I think we need to go back a little bit, and I know we're talking about Leanna specifically, but like the R2 knife class itself, and we've said it several times, but I want to reinforce it. It's supposed to be hunting style knives,
and they made incredible knives. I have to brag about them. Their skinners. Oh my gosh, those skinners are going to do some damage this fall. When those boys go out into the woods, look out, Fasha. Those boys made beautiful heirloom skinners. I mean, honestly, these are bespoke knives, which, we didn't really have a lot of chance to do small talk. So I don't know if they have any children or grandchildren, but these are heirloom knives that those men made. And these are going to be pieces that people talk about in their generation. And then the second knives they made were utility knives, lethal. I mean, if they want to fillet fish with those, if they want to debone pheasant,
it's more of
they want to skin a rattlesnake, they're all set.
It's very substantial. I think that it's more of like what you would think of whenever you're in a survival situation or you're just kind of out and about. It's all purpose kind of.
It's an all purpose. You could use it as an axe if you needed to. And those boys earned it in that coal forge. They earned every single utility knife they banged out. I mean, they were wailing. Now, my utility knife was a Nikiru, which is a Japanese utility knife, but I was still working just as hard as they were in that coal forge. And finally, their CNC knives, thin, flexible, sharp as razor fillet knives. Yeah. And again, with their own style and their own flair. So anyone can go out and buy a really good quality fillet knife for $40, $50. These gentlemen cranked out fillet knives that are discussion pieces.
Yeah.
They really had their own style, their own flavor, and the handle work was great. What I was impressed by was a lot of them have their own woodworking shops at home, and they didn't handle them there at Jay's. And Jay was so supportive. Like, if I were a business owner and I wanted to do a class where I made sure my brand was maintained, I wouldn't be comfortable letting them leave with an unfinished product. Jay was so easy about it. He's like, "Yeah, I get it. You've got some special wood at home. Go ahead, give me a call." And I overheard him say this: "Give me a call if you need help. Come back if it's not working out right." Cool. I think Jay was totally supportive of it. But the ones that I saw the finished product of, this is artwork. These gentlemen are going to use those knives with a level of respect that they won't treat any other of their tools.
Absolutely, yeah. And for our listeners out there, if you actually want to go and take a look at Miss Leanna's knives, you can go to Underhill_Forge on Instagram, and I believe all 3 of your knives are pictured in there. So
he posted them the next day, and I had a moment. They
look so good.
Yeah, so go take a look at them.
Hey, I just want to say one more thing. When you guys have been at the shop a lot, Will has been there a lot. I think it's his favorite thing to do when I unfortunately have to work from home occasionally, because I have a lot of conference calls. I run a very large portfolio of business, and I'm just talking. I'm sick of hearing my voice when I work at home. So,
so you're saying he needs to get away?
That's right. He looked at the dog and was like, "I'm so sorry to have to leave you here with Mom, but later, buddy."
Because Rug and I don't talk. You know what I mean?
That's right. There's not a lot of words. But I kind of had a concept in my mind of what the forge would be like. But I want to tell you, when I walked in there, it was nothing but utmost respect, care, concern, safety first. And other than the words that were coming out of my mouth, there wasn't a single swear word uttered in that place. Jay and his employees, they uphold, the brand of the Forge. Now, sure, are we a little rough and tumble? Absolutely. Do we have a ton of fun? Sure enough.
You betcha.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do it near machinery where you could lose a digit.
Yeah.
And, I felt totally safe. I felt totally cared for. And as a female, I felt totally respected and appreciated. And it was a gentleman's atmosphere for sure. Even though you're standing on a dirt floor and you're smudging coal on your face, everyone really respected each other.
Outside forge, yeah.
And even in the inside forge. I don't know how I got dirtier on the inside forge than I did the outside forge.
It's the metal dust.
Yeah,
it gets everywhere.
Super filthy.
It's everywhere.
Super filthy.
So, again, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about one other aspect of the weekend. And because it was the R2 Forge weekend,
right,
we showed up to assist, offer a helping hand where we could. Maybe a little comic relief, a little camaraderie,
a little coaching, little spirit pick me up.
I think you guys would all agree, Miss Leanna, one of the most important things that we provided was the food. Right?
You gotta eat.
You guys worked up an appetite.
You gotta lay out a wild game spread.
Yeah,
and I think Will was a little hesitant. I had a crazy work week. If you listened to The Current, you knew about our epic Alaska adventure.
Oh, yeah.
And he looked at me Friday when I got home from work, and he got home from a very long day at work, and he's like, "What are we going to cook?" And it took us about 20 minutes of volleying back and forth, and we came up with our ideas. Thankfully, he knew what the other R2 guys, the other R2 chefs were making. Nurse Chuck Wagon came up in full force. Pick, don't think I didn't notice you and those wonderful salmon, catfish nuggets. So, we really thought and planned out a menu. I don't want to detract from the fact that Jay is a professionally trained chef. Yeah. So if we would have never shown up, we would have been perfectly fine. Our stomachs would have been absolutely satiated and fulfilled. But the fact that R2 fans got to have a wild game feast cooked by the R2 members and Miss Leanna, and with the wild game that they harvested, I thought was so special. And Pick, I wanted your recipe. And Jay goes, "You know what's going to plus this up? I'll be right back." Scurries off to his house, comes back with a squeeze bottle of a basil lemon aioli that he squirts all over that catfish, and it explodes in your mouth. It's so delicious. Excuse me, Bucky, deep fried pheasant.
Yeah.
I will never make pheasant differently. Ever again. I'm actually, before I called into the show, I was looking at electric air fryers on Amazon. It's just the fact that we all got to share and fellowship like that was so nice. We had bear, we had wild boar, that Hunter, the silent R2 intern, AKA the Lucky Charm, got for us. That was a humongous hit. We had wild boar that R2 mom, Bridget, took down in one of her southern state adventures. It's hard to keep track.
But man,
that was something special. And
it was good. It was good.
Jay couldn't help himself. He had to do another round of that deep fried potato salad.
And Bucky's venison candy.
Oh yeah, we had the
my word, Bucky's venison candy. He took, Sammy
Nurse Chuck Wagon comes huge.
Nurse Chuck Wagon, flatlined. We all flatlined.
Absolutely.
Nurse Chuck
What's
Wagon
venison candy again for everybody?
So So it started off, Sammy P, the general, mad love to you, R2 field staff member. It started off as duck candy, where you just take a piece of wild duck, roll it in Predome's blackened fish seasoning, wrap it in bacon, skewer it, grill it off until it's about medium rare. And once it hits medium rare, hit it with some duck sauce, no pun intended, and let that duck sauce set up a little bit and pull it off. We have found, and thanks to Nurse Chuckwagon, that you can swap in any wild game for that.
Yeah.
For that duck. He did it with venison. We've done it with wild turkey. It can really help the leanness of the wild turkey.
Yeah.
Babe, what else did we do it?
Bucky
We
likes
wanted to do it with the salmon. We want to do it with our Alaskan salmon.
Bucky likes to stay with the red meat. He prefers that, but that's dealer's choice.
Yeah, it definitely lends itself though. Like you said, turkey, salmon. I think it would all
Absolutely.
It would all stand.
Anything wrapped in
stand
bacon.
to be
At the end of the day, 4 ingredients, guys. That's it.
That's the best part.
A turkey,
bacon.
and
a turkey,
bacon,
a pig.
Bacon.
or it's protein, blackened seasoning, bacon, and duck sauce.
Boom.
That's it. You don't even need a ratio.
Yeah.
You're good to go with your taste buds.
The black bear was really good.
I couldn't get over that.
That was
So good.
We did a black bear roast beef.
We won some friends with that, didn't we? We had some naysayers on Friday, or on Saturday. We served it on Sunday. They were open to it.
Yeah, but every time you make black bear, it comes out phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I do love it.
I think this
What
was
was that
the highest
puff
evolution.
pastry thing that we did last time. We had a wild game dinner, and there was some black bear served in a puff pastry. That was amazing.
Oh, I did black bear beef Wellington for you.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So good.
But for the R2 weekend, we did it roast beef style,
Yeah.
which we need to find a better. Do we call it roast bear style? But
Beef.
I think you're all very familiar with
beef
roast
is the
Roast beast.
beef. Roast beast. I love that, babe. Reminds me of Christmas movies. Love that.
Love it
But
too, babe.
we did it sous vide style. We did it at 135 for about 20 hours. The last 4 hours, we took it up to 165 because it is bear. I trust, Will and our cousin Sean Holsinger, friend of the show. I trust their harvesting techniques. I trust their field dress techniques. You still just have to be careful with bear. So
you want
we brought it up.
trichinosis?
Yeah.
That's right,
Yeah.
Trick. So we brought it up to 160.
165
FDA.
or one.
Thank you, 165.
Check
FDA
your,
recommends 160. Check your regs.
If you, we read a couple things. Some people say 170, but it's that 160 to 170 that I think really does
Kills
the
the
trick.
trig.
So we went with the FDA at 160. I brought it up to 165 for the last 4 hours, and then when we pulled it out, the trick is because it sits in the sous vide or which is French for water bath or cooking under water bath. It sits in a marinade when you're doing super simple marinade. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Worcestershire sauce, right, babe?
That's how I say it.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire.
Salt and pepper.
All the words
onion
that you
powder.
said tonight, you hesitated on Worcestershire.
I did because
That's insanity.
I think we were a little delirious when we were cooking it, and I pronounced it, and he's like, "What was that again?" But it's Worcestershire sauce, salt and pepper, garlic powder,
Which is
garlic
your
powder,
sauce?
and onion powder. My poppy was just span the void. Brad's poppy as well too.
Yes.
He always called it "What's this here sauce?"
That's how
Anyway,
it got
he'd be
its
like-
name.
He'd be like, "What's this here sauce?" He's like, "Grab me the what's this here sauce." So it's a charming memory. But that's all the marinade is, and it's in the sous vide bag. When you bring it out, pat it dry, and then when you cut it, Will, back me up here. I bet you didn't even need a knife.
Well, fortunately, we were in the forge and there was some knives around.
That's right. That's
But,
right.
Yeah, and they were sharp. But we were able to, Jay has a nice flat top grill, and there was
Searing's
sausage,
just
pulled
easy.
pork. It had its own little section for sure.
And it was the debut of the Epic Alaska Adventure salmon. We were able to crank out a little salmon candy, thank goodness, on Sunday.
You guys nailed
we were
that.
Able,
That's so good.
That was awesome.
You know, we were able to do our favorite salmon jerky recipe out on the Traeger. God, Traeger, you are a miracle worker. And thank goodness when we thought about it Friday night, we had just enough time
It was
to pull
the
it off.
perfect amount of time to pull it off. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
It required God bless you pick. I went to bed on Saturday night. I looked Pick in the face and I said, this needs to be pulled from the Traeger at midnight, and this is the bowl that needs to go in. Then I'm going to need to refrigerate it, and then I'm going to need to go to bed.
Yeah.
And he was like, no problem. I was like,
We pulled it off.
I'm on it.
and don't screw this up. I'm watching you. And then I went and watched it and I went to bed.
Yeah, we
so
pulled
Pick
it
had
off.
the fear of God, yeah.
I just left the place on Sunday with the best feeling. People guys that we haven't interacted with, and we're not, they're not super active on social media or anything like that. We haven't run into them previously, and having them come out to an event. I think it was Jed drove 2.5 hours both days.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And they
one
were
way.
all in.
Yeah.
They had some.
All in.
Absolutely.
It was awesome, and to watch them kind of just do. We went through it, and it wasn't that we didn't have a special time, but watching you guys go through this process and knowing how we felt that weekend and how beat up we were, and the products that we got. You guys, we're just, I don't even know, one step above or 10 steps above. You really you took it, made it your own. I don't know if it was the time delay and or us talking about it or whatever the prep
was. Definitely from us talking about it. They heard the episode. They learned from our mistakes.
Oh, good.
And they grew from it. So a lot of kudos to
I
us.
doubt that.
Right? Kudos to us.
It's a community effort. It's a community effort for sure.
Yeah, and again, like you said before, Jay just brings it out. So if you have something that you want to work on, and he can,
I mean, he is a master tradesman.
He'll get you there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's an artist. He's a scientist. He's a chef. He's a master at what he does. So you are in fabulous hands. Well worth your investment. Well worth your time. You will leave with an heirloom bespoke piece for sure.
You ain't kidding.
Got it.
Very cool.
Or 2 or 3.
Very cool. No, I appreciate you joining us on the podcast and kind of recapping your day.
Absolutely, fellas. I'm sure I'll be talking about this for months. It was such a meaningful experience.
Yeah, and getting you on the phone is a little bit easier than reaching out to some other people. So it was path of least resistance. I guess.
Well, I hope that we represented, our entire class well. I couldn't have done it without those men. And I hope that, they feel like we supported them and we left with, beautiful pieces of artwork that we're going to use. Mm-hmm. And we're going to remember those memories for sure.
So I just want to ask this, one last thing is, would you do the R2 class again? Would you recommend it to a friend?
Without hesitation. I would do a knife class at least once a year because you are making art. And I guarantee you've got enough creativity in you that Jay, his staff, Nate, Jeremy will bring out of you. If you have to do that one class a year, make it the R2 class because you have just this additional network of support. You've got like-minded souls. You've got people who know what you want to do with that in the outdoors or in the kitchen, in my case as well, too.
Yeah.
And they're just there for you. And, folks, it's a grind. You're there the first day for probably about 10 hours. Exactly. You're there for the first day for about 10 hours. The second day, we were there for 12. I bet we could have been there for 14. Yeah. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, you guys pushed through.
Having that extra support system there to just carry us through with the momentum, keep our spirits up, say, I see what you're doing. Stick with it. I've been there before. I think, a lot of the R2 pro staff came up to me and said, I remember doing this. You've got this. The next step after this is polishing. And then after that, you're on to handle work and you're almost there. So I guarantee you could do a knife class once or twice a year. One of them should be the R2 one for sure.
That's great.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can't get a better sales pitch than that. I love it.
No, you can't. You can't.
And you eat well, no matter what.
Yeah, we
if
bring
we're
the food.
there or if it's Jay, my word, your belly's going to be happy.
Thanks again for joining us. We're gonna get back to it. I appreciate you, John.
Fellas, get back in that current.
I love it.
All right, thanks, Leanna.
Thank
Water's
you,
just fine.
Jump
Dive back
on
in.
It's like sous vide in here.
Heck yeah.
Bye, fellas.
Bye-bye.
See it. You know what, Will?
What's that, bud?
Maybe we ought to let him do it. Maybe we ought to let him talk about it.
Did Pike outfish you guys?
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, Ryan.
Aside from the whole, R2 knife weekend and stuff, did you get to do anything else while you were in town with us?
Yeah, I did. There's a little river close by called the Susquehanna.
Susquehanna?
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, and I've heard that the R2 boys like to wet wade in the Susquehanna sometimes. So after we got the salmon candy off the Traeger at about 12:15 in the morning, we set our alarms for about 4:30, and we were up.
We are on a mission.
Yeah. So we a few of us, Will and I, met Ryan up in.
So I'm gonna call some boys out. Can we do that?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
There's some guys that were really fired up to wet wade.
I saw that.
Could not
and then
wait.
I saw what happened next.
And it was, and I've done this. I've done things like this. Stuff happens, life happens, but it was just so unexpected
and they're not here to defend themselves,
which is the perfect time to call them out.
Now's the time, right? Stevie, podcasting's Bad Boy Fisherman.
Yeah.
You text us like whatever o'clock in the morning and says,
I'm not feeling
I'm
good.
not gonna make it.
Oh.
And I'll see you at the forge. and I don't know if they were in cahoots or what, but Bucky
probably wasn't 15 minutes later.
Yeah, follows suit. Yeah. And Buck and Pick and I were just like, I said, do you want to go back to bed or what? And he's like, I think Ryan's still going. So it's because of you, Ryan. And
well, when I saw the second one come through, I thought I better respond that I'm up and about, or I'm going to be sitting at the sheets.
You were like 10 or 15 minutes out from the sheets.
Having that sandwich by yourself.
Well, I had the silent intern with me.
So you'd sit by yourself.
If I'm going to go fishing, I'm taking the Lucky Charm with me.
They're always after your Lucky Charms.
They certainly are.
So we ran up the road and met you at the sheets there, and had a little sandwich, a little breakfast sandwich before we headed up.
We do like a good breakfast in our bellies before we go fishing, right?
A lot like forging, wet wading is a grind, and
it really is.
It's a Bob Seger song. Instead of going against the wind, you're going against the current. And the thing is you don't, in the moment, you don't feel it, but like 3:00 in the afternoon,
I would be willing to say as soon as you get to your next destination.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel it, and you get back in the truck, and then you drive to wherever it is you need to be next. It's when you get out, because now your legs have had a moment to let that lactic acid kind of build up and set in. And you go to jump out of your truck because you're like, heck yeah, I've been up for a while. Been doing all of that outdoorsy stuff. I'm ready to keep the day rolling. Boom.
And then your feet hit the ground.
Like cinder blocks. Like, oh, why are my legs so heavy? What happened there?
Your eyelids become cinder blocky.
I'm
too.
glad that we jumped right ahead to the end of the trip.
But why? I was going to say, why did we bypass a whole
I don't know.
bunch of fishing in between?
With something we don't really talk about. We always talk it up, but it is, it's very physical. So.
It is physical, especially when you're reeling a couple fish.
Say about not catching fish. You don't talk about.
No,
my arms were perfectly fine at the end of the trip. I had no fatigue.
No fatigue. Yeah.
Listen, I got skunked on the river. All right. Not happy about it. It's never happened to me before.
Hunter got turtled on the river.
That boy.
He get wiped out?
No.
Caught a turtle.
He hooked the turtle.
I thought you meant he's going downstream. Like
that kid has caught 4 prehistoric snapping turtles this year, and once again, I got really, really close. And I have my one
they're in
hand
season
on the
now.
shell.
You could have kept that one.
Well,
that would have been great to take to the forge for some lunch.
At that point, I had no way of dispatching it. I would have carried it back upstream live.
About 300
What are you, a
yards.
sissy?
I don't know. It was a pretty significant turtle. I wasn't expecting something like that in the river.
It looked weird how they were just positioned in one spot forever.
Yeah,
and then
taking in the.
I saw you fishing, and then I saw you stop fishing and kind of like hustle.
Yeah,
across
I was trying to move
the
across
fast water
because I couldn't hear him for sure because I'm standing right in this little bit of a riffle, and there's no like white water or anything, but there's moving water that's kind of just it's making some noise. He's only 60 yards away. I can't hear him.
He is the silent intern.
And and I can see his line is like his pole's bent. He's on something. I thought he was just hung up.
I thought he was too. I looked down and he's yanking.
They
and
call
I
him
thought
the
he was
stealth bobber.
And finally, I was like, he must be hooked up on something. So I made my way over quickly so I could figure out what was going on, so I could keep fishing. And sure enough, he's like, pretty sure I caught a turtle. And it had to be like, you guys saw where we were fishing, right?
Yeah.
Did you see any mud?
A lot of rock and some water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No mud though, right?
Yeah, no.
And of course, I mean, that's where a snapping turtle is going to be, I guess, but it makes sense. But he hooked into this turtle, and as soon as I tried to step toward it to see, if I could somehow manage to pick this thing up and get it out of the water, it starts, digging or paddling or whatever it's doing to get away. And that combined with me stepping into this spot, just completely all mud. Now I can't see where there's a turtle. A potential beast that, it's going to take your
this
fingers.
This turtle has gotten bigger the last 5 minutes we talked about.
It was 18 feet wide. It was amazing.
State record.
No, I'm exaggerating slightly.
Grab it by the tail.
No, I did have it at the back of the shell. And as I was going in for the other side, so I could just pick it up, line broke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He pulled off, and as soon as he pulled away from me, Hunter yells, "Get him!" Like I'm going to jump into the murky, muddy water and now get the freed turtle.
Yeah.
And
you didn't do it for your son?
No, I didn't. And I wouldn't again tomorrow. You can't make me.
You're sleeping good tonight, aren't you?
Them turtles are
snapping.
Wicked.
They're snapping.
So anyway, all right, good week. Oh.
What about me?
You caught some fish too, didn't you?
I caught a couple. The first one that I hooked into was pretty nice fish, pretty nice smallmouth. I'm
gonna stop you.
At least I'm catching smallmouth somewhere. My kayak fishing this year isn't going too well, so
good for you.
Yeah, I was able to hook into one.
This was the first time. This is the first time that we got to. It's not often we get to go out with Pick, and usually he's like really nice and humbled and just happy to be with us, and it was different this time, wasn't it?
It was a different Pick.
It was a different guy.
All business.
It was he. I don't know what he. I mean, he poked the bear a lot more than he normally does. He let you know every time he had a fish.
I'm like Fish on? I mean, don't you do that when you're fishing? You say fish on.
I don't think I did.
No. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you did.
Oh.
You caught the first one.
I had to
You
yell
were the
that
first
one
to
because
holler.
he's the one. He laid down some gauntlet that we had at
I
breakfast.
guess I owe you guys.
What, $1 for first, $1 for biggest, and $1 for most?
Yeah, just because you won 2/3 of that. Guess I.
But that's the only
You
reason.
take checks, bud.
I normally don't. Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I do. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
I'm
bring
going
your
right to it.
square.
Yeah.
You guys both caught some fish, and I was very proud of you. I was struggling. I don't know what it was. I couldn't figure them out, but you guys had it done. I liked the way that you were doing it, though. You guys got into the edge of some of that faster water, and you were just kind of throwing across and bringing it back.
Yeah.
It was a good spot.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to get down in some of the ripples where we had some better success last year or 2 years ago.
Sure.
And I don't know, maybe the fish just weren't there. I'm going to say that's what was going on because I wasn't catching them, so they must not have been there.
Yeah.
Couldn't be anything else.
No.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I was proud for about 15 minutes, but then I got told about 16 times how much better of a fisherman he is than I am.
I don't know who was telling you that. No, but you were right, Ryan. There was a section where there was some water disturbance or some rocks under the surface, and that's where I caught that one big one.
I mean, and once you get one, then you just tend to sort of throw back in that same area.
Yeah.
Continually.
You didn't short drift him?
2 or 3. At that point, I was 200 yards downstream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think I had 2 or maybe 3 legit like hits, but not a whole lot going on.
What'd you have on?
A little bit of everything, bud. I tried everything from like the TRDs all the way through crankbaits. Like I threw everything. I started with topwater.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember we had that.
Usually, because we would start off from the bank across that area we call the flats, and occasionally we'll catch a fish. The barrens, that's what it is. Occasionally we'll catch a fish, but not real often.
So rare.
You know, if anything's going to hit, maybe it'll be topwater. Maybe topwater will do it, but not so much.
Yeah. No, it was great to get out.
That was the thing. It was just awesome to be out.
It was a
in the
different
river again.
situation from the first time we got out this year. Yeah.
Not for Ryan.
Yeah, it was. It was the same place, but I caught as many fish.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Sorry.
But it was, 1.5 foot less deep and about 25 degrees warmer.
Yeah.
I said that to Will at one point, right as we started going. I'm like, we're maybe to our waist, and I looked at him, and I sort of pointed at my chest. I was like, "Do you remember when it was here and I couldn't talk in complete sentences?"
Yeah, Will distracted me one time. I remember he said that there's a hole around here that can swallow Kyle, and I was looking around for that hole the rest of the time that we were out there. I was hoping that I wasn't going to get swallowed up by a ledge.
Yeah. Well, it's there, and we did see it, and Kyle will tell you all about it, but we did not find it, and we didn't find any pliers.
Bucky snatched them all up.
No, it was a fun day. It was a fun day. That was the first time I've actually wet waded the Susquehanna. I appreciate you guys including me.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you'll ask
I'm
me
hoping
back.
There's going to be a lot more days of like that to come.
Yeah, me
Is
too.
that something that you would do again, or you would do in your area?
Wet wade?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you were down there in Harper's Ferry. There's an area down there that certainly is wet wadeable. With some shallow water and some rocks, and
it looks very smallmouth.
Very smallmouth.
There's very few places on the Potomac in my area, outside of Hagerstown and Clear Spring, that you can wet wade. Most of it's
just too deep.
Boatable. Yeah. Most of it's boatable. And if you can wet wade, your area is limited. But I was impressed at how much water we did cover on foot. I mean, at that section of the river where we were at, I mean, that river was 400 or 500 yards wide, at least.
Minimum. It's probably more than that.
Yeah. It was impressive. That's the first time, like I said, I've been in that area and wet waded the Susquehanna. So,
and
great time.
We were heading directly to the forge, so we that trip was considerably shorter than most, and we actually cover a little bit more. Like we'll get down into some of those islands and stuff that were downstream from us.
Yeah.
We'll go out like you guys did and then start just fishing downstream.
Yeah. Well,
But every
my number.
step that you take down,
you got to
that
get
many
back.
more you got to come back up. So we try to keep that in mind. So I guess I'll finally say, good job, Pig.
Good job, Pig.
It was nice to be out. I'm glad you were there.
Yeah.
It was nice fishing with you. It's always nice fishing with the R2 guys and my brothers. So it was a great time.
Very cool.
Well, boys, I'd say between us and Miss Leanna calling in, we did a little bit of justice to that.
I think we did this pod justice.
Heck yes.
Yeah.
Smoke in the forge.
Smoke in the forge. I like it. All right. Well, here's the deal. Don't forget, this month's episode was also brought to you in part by Scared Fishless Tackle Company.
Scared Fishless.
Make sure you head on over to scaredfishless.com. Check out everything they've got going on, from their 6-inch diamondback worm
Love that diamondback worm.
all the way to the fatty boom batty bucky.
Whoa.
That's right. Hey, check out all the cool colors that they've got too, but guess what?
What?
They also do custom colors. You got a color you love? Send them a sample. They'll match it as best they can. Get over to scaredfishless.com. Check it out, guys. Hey, Deke,
Yeah, bud.
where can folks find us?
You can find us by searching all the social media properties for Rut and River Pursuit. Make sure you also search us individually. There's always something going on for each of us. So check us out, follow us.
Definitely check them out.
Yeah. You can also check out the YouTubes by searching Rut and River Pursuit Podcast. If you want to listen to all of our episodes, make sure you check them out on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Check us out at rutandriverpursuit.com to stay up to date on all things going on.
Mm-hmm. Do that.
That's it.
So, boys.
Yeah.
It was a great week.
It sure
Great
was.
current.
Looking forward to some more.
Always.
See you, boys.
See yous.
Get outdoors.
Oh my gosh, those Skinners are going to do some damage this fall. When those boys go out into the woods, look out, Fasha. I'm going to pronounce this wrong. Worcestershire sauce, right, babe?
That's how I say it.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire.
Salt and pepper.
All the words
onion
that you
powder.
said tonight, you hesitated on Worcestershire.
I did. Because
That's insanity.
I think we were a little delirious when we were cooking it, and I pronounced it, and he's like, what was that again?
We're going to get back to it. I appreciate you, Jen.
Fellas, get back in that current.
I love it.
All right. Thanks, Leanna.
Thank
Water's
you, ma'am.
just fine.
Jump
Dive back
on
in.
It's like sous vide in here.
Heck yeah.
Bye, fellas.
Bye-bye.
See it.